Welcome. Would you please tell us your name, your current position with the library, and what branch you work at?
I'm Tamara Menninger. I am the patron service lead here at the MidPointe Library Trenton branch.
How long have you been in the position, and how long have you been with the library?
I have been patron service lead since September of 2023, so it's a new position. And I have celebrated my 27th library anniversary on May 27th, 2024.
It's a long time. Have you been with the Trenton branch the entire time?
Yes, I have exclusively worked for the Trenton branch.
Could you tell us about the roles and responsibilities of your current position?
Sure. Yeah. As patron services lead, my day-to-day duties can include everything from helping a patron with faxing, printing, computer tech help, to assisting them find a new book they might like. The public service work, I do all the desk work along with the public service lead responsibilities. So that can include new library cards, like for kids are always excited to get their new library cards, and that's a big fun thing. I'm also a passport acceptance agent. So we do passport applications. We've done that since 2016. And for a patron who might need some one-to-one help, that's kind of what the patron service lead does, is we can schedule like a point assist. It's a 1-hour appointment. They can do anything from helping download ebooks, getting help with their tablet, basic computer skills, or research databases, or giving them in-depth readers advisory. So if they want help finding books for their teenager or something, we can sit and do that. So another favorite thing I get to do, because patron service lead, one of our things is doing passive programming and display stuff. So one of the fun things I do is I display a lot of adult fiction, the large print, and the teen. We started moving the shelves around so we can display some books face out, and it's fun to see what goes out, because hopefully it's bringing traction to books that have either cool covers or hot authors at the time. Also, I help do the kids' books, which is always fun. We come up with some creative things. Jennifer, our branch manager, started doing this, and we could do say right now we got Moana up, and all those books go up. So let's find another Disney princess to put up. So it's kind of fun seeing what goes out, because I think it helps a lot of parents that come in, because they're here for story time. They're trying to watch the kids, and they see these books, and it's like, oh, these look good. They're the holiday books, or we want the Lego books or the Minecraft books. So it's always fun. Plus it gets some collections attention. Like right now we have cookbooks on display. So it gets some attention to collections that the kids may not see. So I enjoy doing that. I love books. I started out at a bookstore, so I've always been around books. So that's kind of some of the things I do. It's kind of an interesting adventure every day, because you never know what somebody's going to need. So, and it's fun.
What is your day-to-day like?
My day-to-day is like, we open up. If I get here before we open, I have the before opening duties that people don't see behind the scenes. Like we check in the book drop, we pull holds. We have to clear holds if somebody didn't pick up their holds. We're a small branch, so we even do a lot of the shelving ourselves. So that's kind of fun, because it helps me know what's out there in the collection.
What do you find most rewarding about your job?
The thing that I like the most is helping each person who comes in here to the best of my ability. Sometimes it may be a tech issue that is above my ability to help them, but whether it's as simple as helping them make a copy to an involved search for putting books on hold for them. And since we never know what somebody else might be going through in a particular day, I want to make sure I smile and let them know we're here to help and they're not bothering us. Because a lot of times, I think somebody might have had a bad day and they come in and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I have to bother you or something. I'm like, no, you're not bothering us. We're doing our job, and we're here to help you. And I think giving them a smile, it shows we're kind and we're approachable, and, we're not these scary, stereotypical librarians, that are going to shush you. So that's kind of, I just like helping people, and every day is a new adventure, like I said.
What do you find challenging?
Challenging? Well, one of the things I remember from my interview, I came from a bookstore background. was I like good detective work. So sometimes when somebody wants, that title, but they don't remember the author, they don't remember even the exact author or anything. So it's kind of fun to try to extract what I can and find the book, because then it's like that eureka moment when I say, is this the book? And they get excited. That's just probably the most challenging thing would be when somebody doesn't want to follow our established library rules, and maybe they've become disruptive to the point where we do have to ask them to leave, and you want to do it politely, and if it's not a real serious violation that management needs to get involved in, you want to do it and just let them know, you need to leave for right now, but you're welcome to come back the next day, so that you're not making it personal. We want people to be able to use and enjoy the library. That's the main goal.
What is an accomplishment or project you are particularly proud of?
Wow, that's a lot. I think being with the library all these years, and being in Trenton, it's a small library environment. We get to know a lot of our patrons by name. I mean, we've seen patrons who might have been young adults in the summer reading program when I started, who now might have kids of that same age now. And, seeing the parents that are now grandparents and bringing their grandparents to story time. So that's kind of fun. We also, being small, we kind of it's like our little immediate family here in the larger family of the MidPointe system. So it's kind of like a family atmosphere. We all get along here, and, we just enjoy being with each other. Probably the best accomplishment is just knowing the small building that Trenton started out in the 1970s, because I believe the original building was 1974, 1975. And knowing that we started here because there was a group of community that wanted a library in Trenton, and we're in this beautiful building now that we moved into. And I think I know I've worn a lot of hats over the years, and I just hope that I've done a good job and that I've been helpful to all the people that I've got to help and meet. And I've met so many great people over the years. I've worked with great people, and our patrons are our patrons are great.
Speaking of that old building, what can you tell us about the 17 East State Street location?
And that was the original building?
That was the original building.
Okay, the original building was fun. It was so small that if somebody was browsing the first part of the alphabet and fiction, the door swung inward, and we'd have to tell them that somebody was coming in just to make sure that they didn't get bopped by the door. And it was also so small that the manager of the branch, the office was in a corner of this long room where the bathroom also was, and the sink. So it was that was the off-desk location. And the desk was very small. You could barely get two people at the desk at one time. And also, back in the day, a lot of times, on a Saturday in the late 90s, we'd have one person working on Saturday. So that would be a challenge. When you only have one person working, and you'd find somebody, if you needed to do something, you'd find somebody, if some patron came in that you knew, or you take your chances, and if nobody was in there, you'd go do what you had to do, It was a fun place to start. I know some of my coworkers, when I started there, they're like, we think this place is haunted. We've seen I've heard stories about somebody cooking breakfast, and there was somebody that smoked, that they could describe the tobacco stuff. I never noticed anything. It was an old building, but it was interesting to hear their stories.
What can you tell us about the present Trenton branch location?
This is like the Goldilocks library for me, because it's just right. I think it's just the right size. We have a great collection of materials. Plus we have study rooms. We have this nice community room here. We have plenty of public internet stations, both in the children's and the adult teen area. We have room for people to read and study, to meet. We have everything from a local community pantry here now, where it's called Shakespeare Shelf. They can come bring donations. They can take what they need. We have a puzzle exchange where people can bring puzzles and take a puzzle and bring a puzzle. So that's really taken off in the last year. But like I said, I call it the Goldilocks Library, because our public area layout is, you can pretty much see the whole library from the desk, like our children's department. And you can see, so if you find that person that might be hesitant to come ask for help, you might be able to see if they need help, and you can go approach them and say, can I help you with anything, without, because there are some people that don't like to ask for help, but you might be able to know that they might need some help with the facts or something. But yeah, I think it's just the right size. We still have kind of that small town library feel, but we get people in from all the communities. Some of the people they travel the branches, which is great to hear people say, oh, I go to Liberty, I go to Westchester. So people do take advantage of the fact that each branch has its own atmosphere, I think.
What was it like moving from the old branch to this branch?
The branch we had in between.
At 21, yeah.
Okay. So we moved to the branch that was right next door to the old library that we share with the Historical Society so we moved there and we moved here. So it was a little bittersweet because we were attached to that old building. It was a historic building it's a historic Trenton building. I believe it's called the Eicher Building. If I have the title right, you can look it up in the history of Trenton. It was just a little roomy house, but once we got here, it was like a paradise. We had so much space. We had off-desk area to work because at the 21 East State Street building, our break room was back where our manager's office was. There was not a lot of off-desk space for us to work. So it was just nice. You had space to work. We had this nice community room where people could have programming, and, it was challenging. I think we opened the same week that the Monroe one did. I think we were in that same area. So it was I know it was a challenge for Travis and everybody because we were opening two libraries very close to each other. And I know our current director took over in the middle because the director we had before had started this project. So, so it was kind of like we were in the middle of this when we got Travis as our current director. It was fun. Like I said, it was great to see our community members come out. The board members came out. We had one patron who was at the opening in 2016. She just celebrated her 100th birthday this past March, and she still comes in as a regular patron at 100. So it's kind of cool. And, we had some patrons that were there that probably aren't with us anymore. And that's kind of sad, when you think about, we've seen a lot of people that, because we're always like, if we haven't seen somebody in a while, then so we've had that happen a lot. And I just love our community's reaction. I said they've been very supportive of this library. I know the small spaces that we came from at both the other buildings, that this is just like a hidden jewel in the community. I think some people still go to the old location, even though we haven't been there since 2016. In fact, we didn't know the library was right behind the post office here. I'm like, if we've been here for a while, come back and see us, Yeah, so I think people just really like the library in general.
Speaking of that old 21 East State Street building, is there anything you can tell us about that building?
Well, that building, we had a very small story time room, and we did not have storage space. We could not use the upstairs because of architectural regulations on the old building. So we couldn't use the upstairs, so we just had that bottom. But at least we had a public restroom because we didn't have a public restroom at the original one. We had the restroom for the manager's office. It was a challenging place. It was small, but I have a friend who used to bring her kids. She liked it because it was small because she could keep track of her kids, and it wasn't because they lived in Westchester and it wasn't like the big expanse of Westchester, so she could keep track of her youngest, So, but it was a building. We had stand-up internet. We had to use laptops, or they had to stand up and use the internet. It was very hard for somebody if they wanted to do an in-depth project. But, just coming from those two older buildings, it's nice to see good progress that's been made in the history of the library.
Have you held any other positions with the library?
Yeah, prior to being the patron service lead, I did teen and tween programming. From 1998 to 2023, when we did some restructuring, and then I became the patron service lead. When we moved to our present location, I also branched out into adult programming because they wanted to, since we have this community room. So I did crafternoons, which kind of branched into on the hobby on the side that I do craft shows now. And I started a writing group. They're not like, they still meet here once a month. They meet independently of the library, but they are running them their own group, and they're still meeting regularly. So that's kind of nice. And along with being hired to eventually program, I was also hired to be the reference librarian. So I started out as a library associate, but I was also like maintaining the collection of reference. I was ordering materials, weeding materials, managing the budget. And then eventually I also took on the music collection, which when I started, it was cassettes and starting to get CDs. And I also did read along books. And I also ended up with what we called the CD-ROM collection, which is now the video game collection. So in December 1999, I was named a library specialist because of doing all this collection work, that it was a little more involved than just being a library associate. So, and then once we went to centralized ordering, then my responsibilities kind of went along with desk. It was more focused on programming. Eventually I did make some contact with the middle school. I made like class visits and stuff to the middle school, the advanced literature class. So that was kind of nice. We'd display books for them, and it helped the parents and the kids come in and they say, oh, these are where our books are. So that was another nice thing that came from that. So it was mainly just providing more programming, as well as doing customer service. So now it's back to customer service and being a reference librarian. So I've kind of come full circle.
What was the library system like when you started, and what are some of the ways the library's changed while you've been here?
Wow. Well, when I started in 1997, we were still in the age of dial-up internet. I don't even know that people had a lot of cell phones back then. I think you still were, and we were calling the patrons to tell them their holds were in. Videotapes were probably the highest circulating item, the good old VCR tapes, and then it became DVDs. So we've seen and managed a lot of technological change, as well as how the libraries evolved from being just a place where people come to books and movies and things to we're almost like a community. We're a community center almost now because of some of the programs we have. We have a senior lunch that is once every Wednesday, and that's always full, and it gives people a outlet to come, and join. And it's just, it's just nice. People come here. We have tutors that meet here. We have a crochet group that comes from time to time, and they hang out. And the library provides a warming center in the winter for people that may not have access to heating. Also, in the summer, we're a cooling center. And, we do everything from passport services now. It's amazing the things that the library offers folks that they didn't back in 1997.
Do you have any other memories or projects about the library you'd like to share?
Just briefly, I want to say how thankful I am. My aunt was she was the Trenton teen programmer before I took the position. And I had asked her what they were going to do with her job, and she said, go apply for it. I said, I don't have a library degree. And she said, no, that won't matter. Just go apply for it. And I actually turned it down part-time because I was working full-time at a bookstore, and, I couldn't not have insurance and all that stuff. So I had to turn it down part-time. And I'm very thankful that Judy Girton, she was the manager of what we called Extension Services, which is our Library on Wheels department now. And also she was over the Trenton branch. She called me she told me she was going to hold on to my application. And she called me like out of the blue at my other job and says, are you still interested? If I can get a full-time job, are you still interested in coming? And I said, yeah. And she called me to tell me the board had approved a full-time person at Trenton. So, yeah, I'm just going to be forever grateful that the library wanted me, that Judy went and got me. And she also did that for my other coworker, Carolyn, that Carolyn started later in the year that I did. So, and Carolyn's one of the original ones that's still here at the Trenton Library that worked at the original building. And then I believe Kim is our other person who started at the original Trenton building. And she is in community engagement right now. She does a lot of the outreach programs. So it's kind of cool that we're all still here, along with a lot of people in the system that have been here so long. So it's kind of nice to get this opportunity. You know, when I first started, I never dreamed I was going to be here for 27 years because I kept telling my aunt, I said, I'm not going to be here forever. I said, I'm going to get my book done and I'm going to be a best-selling author, you know, and all that stuff. And I'll be a full-time author. Well, I'm still here 27 years later. I do not have the book done yet. But I think that still has to happen. But I remember being a kid and I always had a lot of books around me when I was a kid. And I'd sit and make little library. This is back in the 70s, mind you. So I would sit and make the little like cards up for the library. And so it's kind of funny that I ended up it's kind of funny to end up as a person that works at the library when I did that as a kid, because I also went to college to be an archeologist. I was going to be an archeologist / college professor. So librarian wasn't really on my radar when I went to college, but I couldn't be happier. I said, I couldn't have scripted a better career path for myself. You know, I couldn't be happier than to be here at MidPointe, you know, so, and we've done a lot of good things in the community. And I think just being a part of the Butler County community in our service area, you know, the good things that we've done for people and help them and watch their families grow. And, you know, one of the passive things we do now is we have a social play or we have a sensory room we set up. And the parents know to come and they hang out. And it's kind of like the parents get to have time with other adults while their kids are socializing. So that's kind of fun too, just to see, you know, how to see our community growing and that people enjoy using the library for everything from their kids playing to the seniors coming to get some quality programs, everything from that kid that comes in needing to find a book, you know. So it's just fun. It's a good place to work.
Well, one final question.
Yes.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Wow. I think I've covered most of everything. I've done things that I never dreamed I would do, you know, because some of the programs, and I said, well, one time I made this game called Castle Clue back at the old library. It's kind of like the Clue game, but we were doing a medieval theme. And a librarian from out of the blue in Idaho contacted me about it, and I got to share that idea. So, you know, it's kind of fun when librarians get to share ideas like that. It's just a great place to be, and it's nice to be able to help people. It's nice to be a public servant and actually helping people. So.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.